relieved. It's been over 2 years that she's been waiting for this to happen, and so she's understandably relieved that the charges are gone. There's an outstanding civil suit against Ottawa police and some named officers from the police force, and so it's limited what she can say, but she'll make a short statement if you wish, and then if you have any questions about what happened today, I could answer.
I'm very glad that it's over, and we'd like to thank Mark Ertel for all his help and support.
Has it been a long 2 years for you?
Yes.
What happened now?
So maybe I'll answer questions from this point on, just because there's an outstanding civil suit and we don't want to compromise that. It's still before the courts, and obviously we're not going to litigate that here on the front steps of the courthouse, but it's going to be litigated in court. So what happens from here on is that there's a civil suit. Mr. Greenspan represents her, and I would imagine that Mr. Greenspan will now go ahead with the civil suit in the knowledge that the Crown reviewed the videotape at the time that Ms. Carr spent in custody and drew the conclusion that there was no reasonable prospect of conviction because no judge would convict her given what happened to her.
Why do you think it took so long to get to this day?
It'd be pure speculation for me to guess. That would be a good question to ask the Crown. I think it's something that the Crown should probably be explaining. But I could say that the Crown, since November of 2008, just like me, was in possession of that videotape, and it's disappointing that it would take this long for the Crown to make this decision.
Was that videotape the pivotal reason?
So once again, I'd be speculating what the reason was. I can only go by what the Crown said in court, and he certainly in court made reference to the videotape and the amount of time that Ms. Carr spent in custody and what happened to her while she was in custody. So the record of that is the videotape, and I would imagine that it was his review of the videotape that made him draw the conclusion that he drew. I should say that Mr. Wadden was only recently assigned the file, and once he was assigned the file, he acted quickly and advised me that the charges would be withdrawn.
Roxanne, you said that you don't mind if people see the video. Why do you think that's important?
So because there's an ongoing civil matter, Roxanne is not going to answer questions like that. It's not a question of what's important or not important from Roxanne's point of view and from my point of view. The courts should be open and the public should know why the charges were withdrawn, what the Crown took into consideration, and that's in the public interest. And Ms. Carr, although she could oppose the release of the video because it's embarrassing in parts and it's a privacy matter for her, she thinks it's more important that the public sees the video, and she's not going to stand in the way of the media having it. And as I understand it, that's being argued today by Mr. Dearden.
Can you tell us what exactly is on the video? Give us a little bit of a synopsis.
I can't tell you what's on the video because until a judge decides that the video could be released, it would be inappropriate for me to comment on it. If the video is released and the media is in possession of the affidavits of Ms. Carr and her mother, which are in the materials, it'll become obvious to everyone what's on the videotape, and probably you'll be able to draw the conclusion for yourself why these charges would have been withdrawn.
Yeah. Your comment seems quite emotional. Is this taking quite a toll?
Well, I think you can tell by looking at her. She's an ordinary person who was subjected to criminal charges, and her treatment in the cells obviously was inappropriate. The Crown's decided that. And ordinary citizens sometimes have to wait a long time for justice in these circumstances, and this was too long for her to wait. And yes, it's taken a huge toll.